Well, hello everyone. This is Chelsea. I am currently a second-year doctorate student at St. Mary's University, and my main research interest is on teachers with disabilities. So essentially looking at how one's teacher disability serves as an asset in the classroom. And I'm interested in doing a future study or quantitative survey study on the effectiveness of teaching with disabilities. So essentially looking at how teachers perceive their own disability as an effective tool for teaching effectively. And this project is a proposal to the study. So to begin with, I would like to first of all take a look at the research problem of the study. There is both a lack of teachers with disabilities in the world of education and a minimal amount of research being done on teachers with disabilities. According to the U.S. Department of Education, only 3.6% of teachers have disabilities. I know that number is shockingly low. Teaching with a disability can serve as an advantage, such as it can lead to greater empathy and it allows teachers to be positive role models to students that are struggling, or even students who may have a disability or another issue going on in their lives. So next, I would like to briefly review the literature on this subject. First of all, teaching with a disability allows teachers to be able to better understand the struggles that their students go through. Having a disability makes a teacher more personable and relatable to their students. In other words, it basically makes them more human-like. It brings them down to earth and makes them more human. Teachers use their disability to help motivate students to learn and succeed, such as by demonstrating how they overcome challenges. I know one study I was looking at is how there was a man in a wheelchair who was a physical education teacher, and he was showing his students how he could ride in his wheelchair and how, even though he had a disability, he still could overcome all of his challenges and teach. Green is actually a teacher with a vision impairment who uses her disability as a way to form a sense of community within the classroom to allow her students to learn and grow from each other. According to Ferry Solis Valle Volpita, sorry, I'm speaking Spanish, I can't help myself, found that teachers use their disability as a way to change the perceptions that students hold. So oftentimes students hold so many different perceptions. Teachers with disabilities try to get them to change their perceptions. My proposed hypothesis for this study is, my alternative hypothesis is that teachers' disability has a positive relationship with their ability to teach effectively. The null hypothesis is that there is no relationship between a teacher's disability and their ability to teach effectively. So as you can see, I'm looking for the relationship between a teacher's disability and their ability to teach effectively. That's essentially what I'm looking for in this study. Next, I would like to look at the sample that I would like to possibly use for this future study. So I'll be looking at K-12 and university teachers with a self-identified visible or non-visible disability in the United States. The sample will include full-time and part-time K-12 college and K-12 teachers, K-12 student teachers, and graduate teaching assistants as well. Participants will be from a variety of different subject areas, from physical education, arts and humanities, social sciences, science and mathematics, special education, and other areas as well. A diverse range of disabilities will be used, such as learning disabilities, vision and hearing impairment, quadriplegic and paraplegic, traumatic brain injury, and other health impairments and disabilities too. I am hoping that I will survey around 150 to 300 participants, depending on the availability of participants given the limited amount of teachers with disabilities that are unfortunately out there. Next, I would like to discuss some of the procedures for this study. A survey will be used to measure the effectiveness of teachers with disabilities in the study. I will begin recruitment by making a list of participants that I or the people I know personally know. I will contact those participants to ask for their participation via phone or email. I will then confirm a time, date, and location to conduct the survey for those that are local. I will send an online Google form survey via email to those that are distant. They will be given 4 weeks to complete the online survey. I will send a reminder after 2 weeks if we do not complete it. Essentially, I'm hoping to complete this face-to-face survey in 4 weeks. So I'm giving the online teachers that are distant that 4 weeks as well. And don't worry, I won't remind them too much. I won't harass them too much. Just joking. At the conclusion of a survey, participants will be asked if they know of anyone who may be willing to participate. A stratified sample will be used in the study by placing participants into categories based on the type of school they teach at. So, for my survey, face-to-face and online survey will consist of 26 items. Both versions of a survey are the same. The first 5 questions are demographic questions, including questions about teachers' disability, their teaching status, and the number of years they have been teaching. First 5 item section after the demographic questions will contain items centering on the frequency of instructors' communication with students. The second 5 item section focuses on the frequency of certain teaching strategies to help them teach effectively. The third 5 item section is on the frequency that teachers use their disability to teach effectively in multiple situations. And then lastly, the last 5 item section is on the frequency the teacher creates opportunities for social change within the classroom. So for my data analysis, essentially, I kind of using this data analysis, I kind of did an analysis of my literature review of the information that I found. But this is something similar that what I would use when I do my future study on teachers with disabilities. So for my analysis, I began by calculating the total number of teachers with disabilities found in each study I examined in my review. I then created categories according to the data found: disability type, school type, subject area taught by teacher, and benefits associated with teaching with a disability. After creating categories, I then calculated the percentage for subject area category, calculated the total amount for each disability type according to the school they taught in, and calculate the frequency for the benefits category. Lastly, I assembled a pie chart to reflect the subject area, a bar graph to highlight the frequency of the benefits of teaching with a disability, and a 2-variable table for disability and school type. So, I would like to show you some of my findings that I found. First, based on the literature studies found, a majority of teachers have either a learning disability or a vision and a hearing impairment. The majority of teachers with disabilities are in K-12 education. I was a little bit shocked to hear that because I actually did a study similar to this for my master's thesis, and a lot of participants of the study were from college, so I'm kind of shocked to see this. Second round of findings, the 2 main subject areas, as you can see by this pie chart, is that the 2 main subject areas taught by teachers with disabilities are in special education and performing arts. Some teachers with disabilities in literature taught other subjects, such as business and finance, and also full tech education as well. The biggest advantages of one's disability in the classroom is that it allows them to better educate students, and it leads to greater empathy and self-awareness. And I just want to give some concluding ideas from my findings. The first is that special education and performing arts were definitely, as we can see, the top two subjects that teachers with disabilities taught in. And I thought about how special education, it gives that teacher with a disability a chance to step into their shoes and be able to understand what it's like to have a disability. With performing arts, it gives them that ability to say, hey, I do have these skills in art, I do have all these abilities, and just because I have a disability doesn't mean I don't have those skills and talents. So empathy and support for special education, and then showing those abilities and talents of people with disabilities in performing arts. Teaching students was one of the highest benefits of teaching with disability, and I think this really shows that in order to be able to understand a person with a disability, in order to be able to fully understand them, we need to be educated by them themselves. We need to be able to understand them, and in order to do that, we need to be aware and be able to understand through their education, through their teachings. We need to be able to see them and see how they teach in order for us to be able to change those perceptions. And lastly, I concluded that statistics can be both beneficial and disadvantageous at times. Yes, it can be beneficial because it can show us all those benefits and those positives and those wonders of teaching with a disability, but I also think it's a disadvantage because if you look at the beginning of a study, it said 3.6% of teachers have disabilities. And then we learned later that, hey, there are all these disadvantages. So I think sometimes statistics can cause us to think otherwise and form different assumptions that really aren't always accurate. So sometimes that just means that we have to check the facts and perhaps conduct a study like I did. Finally, some recommendations for future research that I would like to do possibly in the future. One is to conduct a survey of teachers without disabilities, so essentially doing a survey of teachers with disabilities and teachers without, and then comparing and differing to see how they're alike. Next is to survey both the instructor and their students to see how their perceptions on teaching effectiveness vary. We all know students have different perceptions, so it's interesting to see if those perceptions match with the teachers, or if they're different in some ways. And finally, I would also like to conduct a mixed method study of teachers with disabilities. Actually, that's what I'm hoping to do for my dissertation, actually. So, particularly maybe a survey and an ethnography that fully highlights the advantages of teaching with disabilities. So, doing an ethnography doing a survey where I assess their teaching effectiveness, and then doing an ethnography where I go into the classroom and I observe the teacher to say, oh, okay, does that match with the survey results? So I can get a wider understanding of the benefits that come with teaching with disability. Here are my references. I just want to thank you all so much for listening to this video. I truly appreciate it. And I had a wonderful semester with you all. Thank you so much. I hope you keep in touch, and best of luck in your programs. Thank you so much again.